Honestly, it's been a lot of nonsense. I think in my 11-year career, I've never experienced the racial comments from the Indiana Fever fan base.
Alyssa Thomas has found herself at the center of a significant controversy following her suspension.
You women out there, y'all petty, man. Hey, LeBron, you're 100% right on these girls hating on Caitlin Clark. Y'all petty, girls. I expect men to be petty because we're the most insecure group in the world.
Oh, you are.
Y'all should be thanking that girl for getting y'all ass private charters, all the money and visibility she bringing to the WNBA.
And it's hard not to see the humor in the situation.
Someone walk me through it because she's speaking in riddles and perhaps she doesn't know it. But Alyssa, walk me through. We don't want to have to go to work today and then she said, and have social media. Do you work on social media?
She's facing backlash not only from fans, but seemingly from the entire WNBA.
We had her face on a serious matter that happened in this world, and it's unacceptable, honestly.
It's almost remarkable how quickly she got herself into this embarrassing mess. The league simply can't afford to have a player who throws tantrums and makes accusations of racism, especially against those who support it.
Does she travel? I think, where did they move Twitter to, or X? Did they move it to Austin, Texas? Was this game in Austin? Is X still in San Francisco? Was this game in San Francisco? Where exactly did she travel to work and get invaded by social media?
Just when the WNBA was finally receiving some positive attention, Alyssa decided to disrupt that momentum.
Yeah, there's no place for it, and we've been professional throughout the whole entire thing, but I've never been called the things that I've been called on social media, and there's no place for it.
Why? Because she can't seem to accept that fans aren't buying her flimsy excuses. Instead of reflecting on her poor performance, she's trying to cast fans as the villains.
If they had played a road game, it would have been in Indiana. She goes into an arena. Is social media there waiting for her as she walks through security?
Good luck with that, Alyssa. All you've done is turn yourself into a punchline.
Basketball is headed in a great direction, but nah, we don't want fans that are going to degrade us and call us racial names. I mean, we already see what's happening in the world and what we have to deal with in that aspect. And, you know, we come to play basketball for our job and it's fun. But
as for those racist fans she's complaining about, they might show up, but don't expect any sympathy. They're more likely to bring eggs than flowers.
There's an easy way. The league doesn't have to get involved. The Indiana Fever don't have to do something to get you away from social media.
Honestly, Alyssa has earned every bit of this suspension.
Something needs to be done, whether it's, you know, them checking their fans or this league checking. There's no time for it anymore.
Let's break down what led to this cringeworthy moment. Her playoff performance against the Minnesota Lynx was abysmal. She scored just 8 points and grabbed 4 rebounds while shooting a dismal 33% from the field.
We don't want to go to work every day and have social media blown up over things like that. It's uncalled for, and
it was as if she was trying to set a record for the worst playoff performance ever.
Put your phone down. Don't download the apps. Don't engage.
The Connecticut Sun got eliminated, and guess who was front and center underperforming? Yep, Alyssa Thomas.
Don't hold the Indiana Fever responsible for people whose tweets you don't even know who the author is.
And what does she do afterward? Instead of owning up to her lackluster showing, she steps up to the mic and plays the ultimate excuse card, blaming fans for being racist.
It could have been somebody from Connecticut pretending to be an Indiana Fever fan, or someone from Connecticut who doesn't like you because you're a whiny victim 24/7.
Instead of reflecting on her disastrous game and her team's exit, she decides to play the victim. What a classic move.
We all know what this really is. It's an attack on Caitlin Clark.
She claims she's never faced such abuse in her 11-year career, but the real issue is her failure to perform when it counts most.
Caitlin Clark's the wrong face for this league because her fans are so racist. Where have I heard this argument before?
Alyssa, if you're reading this, maybe the problem isn't with the fans. Maybe it's that you looked more like a deer in headlights than a professional athlete when your team needed you.
There were no opposing fans. You barely had home fans. And so no one cared. A couple hundred, 300,000 people were watching your games before Caitlin Clark. Playoff games.
In a recent WNBA playoff game, Caitlin Clark experienced an eye poke from Dejounte Carrington, which sparked a lot of discussion. This reminds me of an event that changed my life. In 2016, I was driving to a reunion with friends when a distracted driver ran a red light and crashed into me. My car was total, and I ended up needing multiple knee surgeries. Insurance companies often try to pay you less than what you deserve after an accident, which is why I'm excited to introduce our sponsor, Morgan & Morgan. They're the largest personal injury law firm in the country and can fight for the best possible result for your case if you become their client. Whether it's a minor accident or something more serious, they make sure the insurance company doesn't shortchange you. The best part? You don't pay them up front. If they don't win, you don't pay. If you ever find yourself in an accident, remember your options. You can start your claim now by clicking the link in description below. Thanks to Morgan & Morgan for sponsoring this video. Instead of taking responsibility for her poor performance, she pulls out the race card as if it's a free pass.
And so now people showed up and you're dealing with what everybody deals with on social media. You've got 14,000 followers on Twitter. That ain't much of an audience, baby girl.
Nobody is upset because of your skin color. They're upset because you were simply terrible on the court.
You ain't catching a lot of strays. There was the other comment that she made, and someone hit me. Replay her comments again, because she said something about someone's face on a historical event or something. And I was like, and this is the first time I caught this part of it.
Let's also address her feeble attempt to drag Caitlin Clark's fans into this mess. Apparently, they're why she feels uncomfortable and mentally drained, as if they held a secret meeting to sabotage her game.
And Caitlin Clark on the Roots poster or the Roots, what is she talking about? Did someone put Dejounte Carrington's face on something? I don't know.
Alyssa, your fans didn't make you miss every shot like you were aiming for the stars. If only you spent as much time improving your game as you do scrolling through hate comments online.
I'm just confused and don't know what she's alluding to. Maybe it was Dejounte Carrington that was on something. I don't. Well, she was on our poster. I don't know what Alyssa Thomas is talking about. If you're in the chat and you know what she's talking about,
maybe you wouldn't be embarrassing yourself and your team right now. Instead of taking any accountability, she continues to play the victim as if everyone is out to get her.
So there's a meme on X, Hadley's telling me, with Dejounte Carrington as Floyd, as George Floyd, and Caitlin Clark as a cop.
It's almost impressive how quickly she turned her disastrous performance into a full-blown pity party.
Hey, that ain't. Don't do that to Marlon Humphrey. Don't do that to Daniel Jones. Don't do it to Dan Campbell. Hey, this is going too far.
The backlash against Alyssa Thomas was swift and merciless after her recent stunt, and the reactions were downright hilarious.
Those were real things. And if Alyssa Thomas was telling me that people were waiting for them before the game, after the game, and yelling racial slurs at them or yelling inappropriate things at them, I'd be on board. But she's talking about Twitter and Instagram.
People tore apart her claims, suggesting that maybe, just maybe, the criticism she faced had less to do with her race and more to do with her embarrassing performance.
And so I sit here, she's got 14,000 followers. And it's really easy to ignore, and most people don't know who she is in the sports world. The only reason why people even know who she is because of Caitlin Clark. And she still only got 14,000 followers on Twitter. She doesn't have much of a brand.
From former players to sports commentators, everyone seemed to agree. Alyssa, sit down. You're not a victim here.
So if she's choosing to speak, there is a reason. Let's talk about this Connecticut Sun series, right? In this series, we saw Caitlin Clark get poked in the eye. And Caitlin said in media after that, that was accidental, that was unintentional. But we saw reporters gaslighting that situation, trying to make more of it, speaking to amplifying the wrong narratives. As a result of that, Dejounte Carrington, who has been vocal about the issues that players have dealt with over the course of this WNBA season with the rhetoric, posted her getting called the N-word countlessly, getting threats to her life based off of an incident that Caitlin Clark said this was a basketball type of thing.
They saw right through her desperate attempt to deflect attention from her poor showing. Just when you thought the situation couldn't get any more absurd, the WNBA stepped in and suspended her. It was like karma came back to bite her.
He was in Indiana, and he alluded to some names that he had been called that we can't repeat over these airwaves. And people were bringing in a question, who the hell is he? And he's probably lying or whatever. But he had me. I was standing right there. I heard exactly what they said to him, word for word, okay? And they called him everything out of the sun, including the N-word. They didn't give a damn. Right there in Indiana. Right there in Indiana. And so I'm not going to castigate an area of this country and engage in geographical prejudice and all of this other stuff. I'm not doing that.
The league made it clear that throwing around baseless accusations wouldn't be tolerated, and honestly, it was about time. This suspension isn't just a punishment, it serves as a public service announcement that using race as an excuse when you underperform won't cut it.
I'm simply saying it's ironic that as we sit here and we talk about these things, and it's associated with a star that has been on the Indiana Fever, it just reminded me of what Allen Iverson is going through. As it pertains to the point that you've illuminated, which is right on point.
Sorry, Alyssa, but if you're going to throw shade, you'd better be ready to face the heat. This isn't just a slap on the wrist, it's a much-needed reality check.
It's definitely upsetting. I don't think nobody in our league should be facing any sort of racism, hurtful, disrespectful, hateful comments and threats.
Even her teammates seemed relieved, likely thinking, finally, someone is holding her accountable.
So at this point, you got to just laugh. 27 years, these lesbian, angry OGs have milled around on the periphery of the sports world. They've had a league simply because, well, the NBA felt like we better help our sisters out. So let's fund a league where, well, frankly, it makes us look good, doesn't cost us any real money.
The league firmly established that this kind of blame-shifting nonsense won't fly. Good riddance.
Oh, white girl, not that that should matter, because in sports, it doesn't, except in this sport. In this sport, that's all that matters. See, you got the angry African-American lesbians who just can't handle somebody coming into their league as a white girl with a bunch of attention.
Now, let's dive deeper into that so-called performance of hers. Analysts and fans were practically in tears from laughing at how she flopped on the court. With stats like those, it's no wonder she got roasted on social media.
Don't get it twisted. Don't get it fucked up. Caitlin Clark is the reason why a lot of great things is going to happen for the WNBA.
Fans eagerly pounced on the opportunity to criticize her lack of hustle and heart. Where has the Alyssa Thomas we admired during the regular season gone? You know, the one everyone was buzzing about as a future star. It seems she left her game behind when the playoffs started.
One thing